hiking Hale Mountain. Hale is a roughly 2-hour and 25-minute drive from Boston, and it's located in the town of Bethlehem, New Hampshire. Mount Hale is 4,054 feet. It's ranked 37th out of the 48 in terms of height, so it's on the shorter end of the 48. The elevation gain is 2,253 feet, and All Trails has this hike at about 4 miles round trip. We hiked Hale via the Hale Brook Trail, which starts at the Zealand Road trailhead. It's one of the shorter hikes of the 48, and it's a pretty straightforward out and back trail. All Trails has Hale rated as moderate. It's number 3 of the 4,000 footers that we did with the girls in Willow. So it's definitely on the easier side of the New Hampshire 48 hikes. We did Tecumseh first, Cannon second, and so this was our third.
Hey, look, butterflies. What can we say about Mount Hale that already hasn't been said so many times?
To Mount Hale. This is the one.
Oh, wait, nobody says anything about Mount Hale.
So we need to make sure I guess in terms of planning for this hike, we were still, again, this is just our third 4,000 footer, and, based on like the little research we did, starts pretty darn flat. It was like a nice, short, doable hike for the girls, and I think this was maybe just our second hike of this season. I think we had done Cannon shortly before this.
Very steep.
I know.
Are we ready?
No, it's pretty.
All right, we got our fearless leader out in front of us.
Yeah, right now.
So we just kind of wanted to continue to ease the kids into something that was manageable for them to keep it fun. We knew this going in, that it wasn't going to be like this grand epic view type hike that we had just done with Cannon. So we kind of have planned these out to try and like yin and yang between like really pretty hikes and maybe others that are just to kind of check off the list. And this was that kind of hike. Like, Hale was a good hike, but it's you'll see in the video, not a whole lot of features and views, but just it was a really nice day and relatively easy hike.
This is definitely a later start for us. Like, it's 12:37 in the afternoon, and we're still towards the beginning of the trail.
Mount Hale's on some of the guidebooks list of, like, if you want to actually run one of these, like, 4,000 footers. This one you'll see is not, there's big stretches of non-technical kind of like path here, and you'll get some technical stuff throughout the hike, but in terms of the ones we've done, it is on the relatively easier side, and some people say that they'll use this one to run.
Having lots of fun.
When you're looking for these 4,000 footers that aren't as heavily populated, this one usually makes that list because, again, probably because there's not these great views, but I think we passed very few people on this hike, and we're hiking in, do we know, is this June, August? It's summertime, and it's a Saturday, and there were still very few people. Maybe when we were on the top of Mount Hale, we possibly met up with maybe one other hiker, and that's about it.
Can't get over how little Willow is in this compared to what she's at now. I don't know how much she weighs at this stage of life, but she's probably somewhere around 14, 15 pounds. I don't know, but she could have been an animal. She's like 32 pounds now, so people will see in a few years when we get around to some of these other hiking videos. She's gotten so much bigger. So we heard a big crash in the woods, and Willow got really agitated, just like, 30 yards off the trail maybe. Probably a deer or some sort of animal, maybe a bear, who knows? For a second there, I was kind of patting my pockets to make sure I had the knife.
And I'm pretty sure I got home and started researching like bear spray and stuff like that. I've mentioned it before, but on these hikes, I think as we've gone along, we've upped our kind of stuff that we bring on these hikes. And you can see this is, I think the girls mentioned, this is the first time we had poles for them, because after the descent of Cannon, I think that was a little bit tough. Just on, just kind of joints. And anyhow, I thought, let's try poles and see if that kind of helps with them and myself, like in terms of going downhill. And I think that they really, in all of our like successive hikes since then, the girls have wanted to bring their poles. So they really like it. And then I usually grab like one for the descent too. I actually do find it can help, knees and ankles on the way down. This is exactly what they're talking about. So according to my watch, we've gone 2.4 miles. In addition to poles, we've also gotten whistles and bells. Just, I don't really think there's much of a risk in the whites, but we just kind of like when you're kind of trotting along and maybe hear something off in the woods, just to have a little bit of make ourselves a little bit more noisy. We thought that maybe the having some whistles and, the bells are more just for like when we're walking along, but they're a little bit annoying in terms of the sound, so we kind of silence those. But now we have whistles anyhow.
How's it go?
She's a barker.
Where do I lick my hand?
I'm fully aware my tiny little pocket knife is not going to save me against a big bear in the woods, but just it makes you feel a little better that you might have something to dissuade an animal from coming at you. I don't think anybody's been killed by a bear in the White Mountains for like 100 years or something, so it's not a huge threat. And so here we are. You can see a clearing up ahead, and we have reached our summit. And as Ashley said, it's kind of a good one for starting late in the day in that it's not an overly long hike. And the summit is, we kind of expected it, but it's a little underwhelming. We were probably so prepared for it to be kind of a lame summit experience that it was actually slightly better than maybe we imagined. But as you can see, there's no views. You're surrounded by trees. But it's kind of a fun little private clearing, I would say. It's a pretty good amount of space. The rock pile's something, kids climbing on it, having fun. And a good little spot to sit down and have lunch and be happy that you're done climbing.
Fun fact in reading about Mount Hale, which we hadn't read before this video, so we didn't try it, but that some of these rocks on the rock pile at the top of Mount Hale are like magnetic. Is it maybe volcanic? Something like old volcanic rocks, so that if you put your compass near some of those like magnetic rocks, it'll like start spinning your compass. It won't point north anymore. If you're looking to do a hike and the weather isn't ideal, Hale might be a good one for you to do because you won't be missing out on these spectacular views if you go on a kind of a gray, rainy day.
I'd give Mount Hale a 2.5 out of 5 stars. What do you give Mount Hale on a scale of 5 stars?
Mount Cannon was a 5, so I give this a 2.75.
2.75.
Yep.
Julie, what do you give Mount Hale?
A 2.5.
2.5?
Uh-huh.
Always the same, 2.5. Ash, what do you give Mount Hale?
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, there's no views, but
So Hannah liked it the most out of our group, but only by a smidge more than us.
by a quarter point.
But yeah,
I think it was a good one for today, though.
Yeah.
why was it a good one for today?
Well, we left late. It's not a very long trail. Because it's like summertime, it's nice that it was like all shaded. And I think we missed the buggiest part. Like it wasn't terrible for bugs.
Well, it wasn't good for bugs, but it was.
Those are all
it wasn't super muddy. Like they had some spots that were muddy, but it wasn't super muddy.
And not a super technical downhill.
No, not a super technical downhill.
My main takeaway from Hale is that it's a good one for early on, is that it's not that hard. And then the whole late start thing is because, we've now done about a dozen or so of these, and you start running out of ones like this. There aren't a whole lot on the list of 48 that are as simple as this in terms of the hike, the distance from Boston, how long of a hike it is, the height of the mountain elevation, all that stuff. Like it's pretty easy in multiple areas.
I think we've done about 13 as of today, and kind of looking ahead for next season, I think that when we're starting to plan these out, there's very few that are under maybe like a 9-ish mile hikes. This was definitely a nice, easy one.
High five.
Hi.
Thank you for millions of views. Thank you.